she does, I know. So baby, until then, lock me away.
Good evening and welcome to the July 5th, 2016 regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council. The first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to invite Ty Hardaway to please come up to the podium and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ty. Next, we have reflection, and I'd like to ask for a moment of silence and just remind everyone that our friend and colleague Henry Marafa is up in recovering from his stem cell procedure, which he had last week. He's at Hopkins, and we're all wishing him very well. So let's have a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Next, we have approval of minutes. Tonight, we have two sets of minutes. First being from the regular session held February 16th, 2016. What is the pleasure of the council?
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries 3-0. Next, we have the minutes of the regular session held on June 6th, 2016. What is the pleasure of the council?
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 3-0. Next, we have appointments. And tonight we have two appointments. What is the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move a resolution confirming your appointment and reappointment to the Board of Supervisors of Elections. A new appointment, Ty Hardaway, term to expire in October 2019, and a reappointment to the Board of Supervisors of Elections, Joan Moore, 4-year term to expire in July 2020.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 3-0. I would like to invite Ty and Joan to join me at the podium. Hello. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to do the oath of office. Ty, I'm going to bring you right over here. And I'd like you both to raise your right hands and repeat after me. I state your name.
Ty Hardaway.
Do affirm
Do affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof.
and support the Constitution and laws thereof.
And that I will,
And that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
Board of Supervisors of Elections
Board of Supervisors of Elections
as a member
as a member
according to the United States
according to the United States
and Maryland constitutions,
and Maryland constitutions,
the laws of this state,
the laws of the state,
and the Gaithersburg City Charter and Code.
and the Gaithersburg City Charter and Code.
Well done. Okay, so I need my pen. So they got to sign first. Congratulations. Joan, I will have you sign first. We thank you both. Would either of you like to say anything, or?
No.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure.
Okay.
And it continues being a pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you very much, guys. Congratulations. It's a good point. It's a very good point. Apparently, it's a very good job to have.
Oh. I don't know about that.
Did you do a
Oh, yeah.
proclamation?
Jim, please join me up here. I gotta sign this still. I'll get that in a minute. Okay. Is this what you have? Okay. We'll let you take it away.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. For the past 31 years, the United States Congress proclaimed July as National Parks and Recreation Month. The annual recognition demonstrates the importance of parks and recreation and the contributions provided worldwide. The city encourages everyone to participate in the celebration of the past, present, and future of parks and recreation. The summer season provides the perfect backdrop for individuals and families to visit a city park, playground, swimming pool, or facility. The proclamation we're receiving tonight will remind the citizens of Gaithersburg the importance of the department's efforts to encourage active lifestyles and foster improved health. The city, in celebration of Parks and Recreation Month, is offering a variety of opportunities for health, fitness, and cultural arts. A few of the activities in July will include Hula Fest, which is a Hawaiian rock and roll and music, which will take place July 9th here at the Concert Pavilion. Every Tuesday night, we have yoga in the park, and on Fridays, Zumba in the park. The annual Sports Fest, which will be held on Saturday, September 16th, which is a demonstration of all the city sports sponsored by our Parks and Recreation Department. And Thursday's Kids Concerts, which takes place every Thursday morning here at the Concert Pavilion. And Evenings in Old Town, which is part of a series of events throughout the course of the summer. And it's at 6 o'clock at the Concert Pavilion on Thursday evenings. All listings of parks, recreation, and culture, facilities, activities, and events can be found on the city's website at www.gaithersburgmd.gov.
And we have a proclamation, which I shall read. Proclamation of the Mayor and City Council of Gaithersburg. Whereas parks and recreation programs are fundamental in establishing and maintaining the quality of life, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of our community. And whereas these programs build healthy, active lifestyles that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic opportunities for the mentally and physically disabled, and improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs have been known to improve economic prosperity by increasing property values, expanding the tax base, attracting and retaining businesses, increasing tourism, and aiding in crime reduction. And whereas these programs enhance the environment by preserving green space, adding beauty to the landscape, and providing a place for children and adults to connect with nature and enjoy recreation activities outdoors. Now, therefore, I, Judd Ashman, by the power vested in me as Mayor of Gaithersburg, do hereby proclaim July 2016 as Parks and Recreation Month in the city of Gaithersburg, recognizing the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Proclaim this 5th day of July 2016 and signed by me. Thank you for all you do, Jen.
Thank you very much.
You want to do one with the poster?
Please.
Wait, we got one more. More props.
Gotta tweet that one.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is public comments. This is the time when the mayor and council would like to hear from the public on any matter that's not a public hearing matter. And tonight, we do not have any public hearings, so essentially anything you'd like to speak about. We ask that you keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. When your time is down to 30 seconds, the timer will beep and turn yellow, and when your time's up, it'll beep and turn red. Do we have any speakers this evening on any topics? Not seeing any. We will move on to from the mayor and city council. And tonight, we're going to start with council member Neil Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Over the last couple of weeks, we had a chance, many of us, to attend the Maryland Municipal League annual convention, which was quite educational. I hope everyone appreciates the 2 hours I gave to learning more about municipal budgets and many other hours learning about many other things. It was a great opportunity to get to meet other municipal officials from throughout Maryland and even get a little bit of time on the beach, pretty much only at dawn, which was the only free time that we had. Also, yesterday we celebrated our overthrowing the horrible British oppression, which is what I like to tell my wife, who was actually from London. But anyway, we had a great Independence Day celebration indoors because of the weather, but it was really a tremendous party. Very large crowd of families and great entertainment. I think the band was having as good a time as we did because the acrobats were really incredible and performing while the band was playing. So I noticed that the bass player in the Lloyd Dobler Effect was stopped playing and took out his iPhone and took pictures at one point. So kind of the opposite of what usually happens. So that was really great. And I want to congratulate the Parks and Rec Department for pulling that one off on relatively short notice. So great preparation and just a tremendous event.
That song apparently didn't have an important bass line.
Maybe he was humming it.
Maybe.
So I have an announcement of some vacancies. The mayor and city council are seeking members to serve on a number of city boards, commissions, and committees. Joining is a way to get involved and help your community. The following have vacancies: Animal Control Board, 1 alternate public at-large business community, and 1 alternate representative of the Montgomery County Veterinary Medical Association, or someone with training and/or experience in the proper training and care of animals. Those positions are open until filled. The Board of Appeals has an opening for 1 alternate position, also open until filled. The Board of Supervisors of Elections, 1 full and 1 alternate, open until filled. Did we just not fill those?
Yeah, no, these are additional vacancies.
Additional ones, okay. Commission on Landlord-Tenant Affairs, 1 full tenant representative and 1 alternate tenant, open until filled. And in additional committees, the Community Advisory Committee, Cultural Arts Advisory Committee, Educational Enrichment Committee, Environmental Affairs Committee, Multicultural Affairs Committee, Police Advisory Committee, Senior Advisory Committee, and Transportation Committee. If you are interested in serving on any of the above, please send a letter of interest and resume to Mayor and City Council, 31 South Summit Avenue, Gaithersburg, Maryland, 20877, or via email to cityhall@gaithersburgmd.gov. For more information and official announcements, please visit the city's website at www.gaithersburgmd.gov or contact the city manager's office at 301-258-6310. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Ryan.
Thank you. I want to echo what Neil already said about the successful transformation of our July 4th festivities from an outdoor event to an indoor event on very little notice. And I also want to commend the staff and other folks out there in the community who are assisting the staff by spreading the word about the changes in the events, because I think that was a big part of it, using social media, using community networks to be able to let folks know about the change in the plans. And it really was a tremendous event. I was glad to be able to bring my family there yesterday and make the best of an otherwise rainy day. And it really was, I think, wonderful, particularly for people with kids, to be able to have a great free activity to bring their families to and enjoy on July 4th in light of the weather. And of course, as we were speaking earlier before the meeting started, the fireworks were not canceled. They were simply rescheduled. I don't know if any of my colleagues here has a formal announcement
No,
about
go
that, but since in a moment I'm going to be listing the other upcoming events and activities for the month of July, I will say that this Friday, July 8th, we will be having the fireworks show, weather permitting, and that will still be at Borer Park, so we do encourage folks to go to our website, go to our social media sites, and learn more details about the rescheduled fireworks. It should be a wonderful way to kick off the weekend, because it'll be on a Friday evening, and that's the reason actually I'm wearing my red, white, and blue today, because even though July 4th was yesterday, because the fireworks are Friday, we're really going to be celebrating Independence Day all week here in Gaithersburg. So hope that many of you will join us for that show on Friday evening, and we'll be sending out more information throughout the week about it, I'm sure. Neil mentioned already the Maryland Municipal League conference this past week that most of us attended. And I also wanted to add that I had a productive time as well attending the conference and learning some new things. No matter how many times you attend this conference, you always learn some new things and build some new networks with municipal officials from throughout the state. Learn about how they manage to overcome challenges similar to some of the ones that we face, and also help share some of our best practices with them so that we can all work together. And as well, build our legislative agenda for the upcoming General Assembly session, which I know Monica's going to talk about in a little bit. We also hosted, as we do at every MML conference, the chapter dinner for the Montgomery County chapter of the Maryland Municipal League. I'm proud to continue serving as the president of the chapter for another year, and it was a wonderful event. I want to thank all the folks who participated, all the municipalities that were represented there, and all of the organizations and individuals who are not representing municipalities who still came, folks from WSSC, folks from PEPCO, the county executive from Baltimore County, Kevin Kamenetz, was there, Comptroller Peter Francho was there. If I'm missing anybody, Monica, please remind me later when you present. But we are really grateful to have partnerships with a number of other individuals and institutions that work closely with municipal government in Montgomery County, and in particular with Gaithersburg. So we don't always see eye to eye with some of those institutions, but we do work closely with them to the benefit of consumers, to the benefit of our constituents, residents, and businesses, and we will continue to do that because it's in their best interest to do so. I'm also glad to announce that I've been inducted for another year to the Board of Directors of the statewide Maryland Municipal League, and I'm looking forward to serving in that position again to advance the interests of all of the municipalities in the Montgomery County chapter, but of course Gaithersburg in particular. And because it is Parks and Rec Month, as Jim announced earlier, I did also want to specifically call out again our Parks, Rec, and Culture staff, not only for the excellent job they did yesterday for July 4th, but also for the media coverage that they've been generating, the positive media coverage for our Celebrate Gaithersburg Festival. Got some national coverage, actually. The Constitution Gardens Nature Space Park, which has been featured regionally and nationally in a lot of media and has been getting a lot of visitors scheduling time to come and see how we really, we set the standard for this new concept of nature play spaces. And so I really think it's appropriate that Parks and Rec Month is this month, because we have so many wonderful successes to talk about with that department in our city. And I do want to call out our Parks, Rec, and Culture Director, Michelle Potter, who's not here this evening, but deserves special kudos for her leadership, I think, not only in the success of our July 4th activities, but also in presenting two very successful presentations at our Maryland Municipal League Conference last week. She also was just inducted as a member of the state board of directors for MML, so I'll be working with her on the board, and I'm looking forward to that as well. And then finally, I have formal announcements about other upcoming events and activities in July. As Jim mentioned earlier, you can enjoy free summer outdoor entertainment and exercise at the City Hall Concert Pavilion. Kids concerts, followed by craft activities, take place on Thursday mornings through July. Wind down the workday with Thursday evening concerts in July and September. Enjoy yoga on Tuesday evenings through July, and in fact, this evening on our way into the council chamber, we saw a lot of folks enjoying the yoga program just outside of City Hall. Zumba continues Friday evenings through the end of August. Gaithersburg's farmers markets offer fresh local produce and more on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Kentlands, and on Thursdays from 12:30 to 6 p.m. in Old Town. You can enjoy Hawaiian music and all things hula at the Hula Fest this Saturday, July 9th at the City Hall Concert Pavilion. The 50s rock and roll musical Grease is on stage at the Arts Barn, July 15th through July 23rd. Celebrate and explore youth sports at the 4th Annual Sports Fest at Borer Park on July 16th. Dogs and cats can get free vaccinations at the July 17th Rabies Clinic at the Montgomery County Animal Services and Adoption Center. Celebrate Couples Day at the Miniature Golf Course with a buy one, get one free special on July 17th. This month's Storytime Station book theme on July 26th at the Community Museum is At the Beach. And join fellow residents and the Gaithersburg Police Department for National Night Out Against Crime on August 2nd, and we'll be having more information and details about the specific programs in communities throughout the city on August 2nd. And finally, if you're interested in participating in the 78th Annual Labor Day Parade, applications for units are now available on the city's website. The parade winds along Diamond and Russell Avenues in Old Town on September 5th. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Ryan. Mike?
Did you know it never rains on our parade on Labor Day?
Please don't.
Don't jinx us, Mike.
We always say that. Again, I want to call out kudos to our city staff, Park and Recs, Police, Public Works, for the just the very creative use of our facilities and their rapid adjustment to the changing weather. It was a great event. It's clearly something that we couldn't do at our previous venue, and it's obviously something that we'll certainly have an opportunity to continue in the future, and we might need a bigger place if we have to keep doing it indoors. So anyway, I wanted to thank Ty Hardaway and Joan Moore for their continued service on the Board of Supervisors of Elections. It's a important job, and they're very attentive to it, and again, we can't do it without that kind of service and volunteerism. So I'm very glad that you agreed to serve again, Joan, and Ty. I'm glad that you're going to continue as well. I did not go to the MML meeting this year, the first time since I've been a member of the council. My wife and I were celebrating an important anniversary, so I was told that I wasn't going to celebrate that in Ocean City this year. So we found another way to celebrate. Anyway, but a few days before the MML meeting, I attended the Kentlands Community Foundation annual meeting of annual meeting of the board and the public. For the public, and the new chair of the John Ingracia, who had been the chair for the past 2 years, retired, and the new chair is our own Rusali Weish, who will be chair for the next couple of years. So I wanted to, and the other important, a number of people were recognized, including retiring board members and individuals who serve the KCF in various roles. And the activities that the KCF runs. But one person that was recognized largely for her continuing contributions, but also for being one of the spearheads. At the tip of the spear of the K25 celebrations, Aileen Renzi was the recipient of the John Schlichting Service Award. It's named for our own John Schlichting. So she's only the third person to receive that award. So it's a pretty big honor for the KCF and for Aileen and John too. So Anyway, and that's all I have tonight. Except to make sure you're at the fireworks on Friday night.
Excellent. I thank you all for your comments. I'm going to jump on board with staff doing a fabulous job with July 4th. I came to the Activity Center yesterday around 6 p.m. thinking there's going to be nobody there, and I just wanted to be there to support staff for all the work that they put in. And I was delighted to see that it was packed. It was really, really packed, and I think we ended up having somewhere around 3,000 or 4,000, right? 4,000 something.
4,000.
4,000 attendees, which is just amazing for our first time doing this event at that venue with postponed fireworks, with the rain. It was just quite amazing. I did go along with most of our colleagues here to Maryland Municipal League, to the convention Ocean City. I do want to thank Ryan for his good service as the president of our local chapter. He's doing a really good job, and I think representing the city very well as always. So thank you, Ryan, for your good work. I want to congratulate my dear friends Mike and Joni Sesma on their 40th anniversary, which is that's a long time.
It's an achievement. You can say that. It's an
achievement. Perhaps more on Joni's part, but we'll no. But it's great. I'm sorry that we had to miss their celebration of it because we were in Maryland Municipal League. I did want to note that in the package of correspondence that we received, there was a letter from the Lakelands community, their management company, with some concerns related to to Lakelands Park, mostly related to traffic and things coming out of traffic. And so I have been in touch with staff, and we will be getting back to them. The next week's work session, which will be Monday, July 11th, is presentation and discussion on potential uses for the Housing Initiatives Fund. Should be a really interesting conversation. So next we have from the city manager, Tony.
Thanks, Mayor. It would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge all the kind comments to staff about the July 4th. Michelle definitely wanted to be here. It's her anniversary today. So she could not, but I mean, it was really a multi-department effort, mostly parks. But PIO reported getting over 22,000 hits on the website. It didn't crash or anything, so we knew we have a resilient one going.
I think that's a good point. That I think we all agree that it's more than just our special events department.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously out front, but Public Works with the signage and PIO with all the getting the word out and IT and police and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Since Friday night is just fireworks, there's no presentations or shows, there's no band. Just about 9:30, we'll be doing the shoot, weather permitting. So the police will be stepping in. I mean, we think there's going to be a lot of people that didn't get to see a show, or who chose not to go out in the rain to see some of the other shows. It's going to be 95 degrees on Friday, so hopefully people will be hydrated before they get there. So it's another challenge that we're going to get through, but it's really great to see that we had this chance to think outside the box, and we took it, and it worked out really well.
Yep.
Additionally, we did complete the Potomac Valley Shopping Center annexation. The agreement that I ended up signing was effectively identical to the one that you saw at the last meeting. So that is done, and we will be back before you on July 18th with the staff report and recommendations on the Victory Farm parking situation. It's interesting, the Lakelands letter had a lot of similarities to the situation on Victory Farm, so we're focusing on precedent and best practices and options. So we'll be notifying the community that's going to happen on July 18th. And that's it.
Great.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
When does the annexation actually take effect? So now that it's been signed, is it immediate, or is there a 30-day period or something like that?
It went into effect July 1st.
Okay.
There was a 45-day referendum period after your approval of the annexation, so it is now in effect.
Okay.
All right. Economic development update, Mr. Tom Lonergan.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. couple weeks ago, I promised you a halftime report. We're already halfway through 2016, and I'm here to report that while challenges remain, the city's had a pretty good year so far as it relates to the local office market. Through our CoStar database, economic development staff tracks about 8.7 million square feet of Class A, B, and flex space located in about 150 properties within the city limits. A, B, and flex are industry classifications, A being the newest, most expensive office space, B being slightly older, a little more affordable, and flex generally being industrial space that's reconfigured as something else. The end of the second quarter of this year, the overall vacancy rate for all of those uses for the city stood at 8.6%.
Wow.
By
Whoa.
comparison, yeah, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
That's the best, I mean,
Yes.
it's the best in years.
Let him give us
Yeah.
the numbers.
It's been the best in years. By comparison, Rockville's vacancy rate is around 11%, Germantown's around 13%, and Silver Spring, typically among the healthiest county submarkets, is now around 8%. A year ago, the vacancy rate here in the city was over 11%. 5 years ago, it was 14%, and in 2009, in the heart of the recession, that number stood closer to 20%. Year to date, there has been about 245,000 feet of positive net absorption, supported in no small part by Novavax's lease of 147,000 feet at 1201 Clopper, among other deals. Breaking it down a little more finely by property type, Class A office direct vacancy is down to under 9%. Frankly, looking at those numbers, we think it's quite a bit less than that, but this isn't the time, which is down a point from a year ago and a far cry from the nearly 20% Class A rate recorded in the third quarter of 2009. Flex space is also doing remarkably well. Direct vacancy rate is down to 7.4%, down from 14% just over a year ago. Flex space has been among the most healthy of the markets. For example, Perry Parkway has become one of the area's most sought-after addresses for this type of space. Just a couple of years ago, this corridor also had double-digit vacancies, and we're now down into the single digits there. And as we've reported in the past, the city's lab market is remarkably strong, registering a vacancy rate in the mid-single digits. Like I said, good numbers all around, but still some challenges remain. Vacant spaces are on the market, an average of nearly 28 months, still higher than the 5-year average of about 24 months. Smaller blocks of available space raises new challenges for companies that look to stay and expand. And while direct office gross rents have stabilized, averaging around $23.60 a square foot for the third consecutive quarter, that's down by $1 a square foot from about a year ago, and down $3 a square foot from pre-recession days. Despite the progress made, hundreds of thousands of square feet of space remains available in the city, millions around the county, and until more space is absorbed, rents will remain soft, and we probably won't see any new offices being permitted anytime soon here in the city. As a very wise former economic development director turned city manager has warned me, don't take too much credit for good vacancy, because I don't want to get blamed when it goes sour, so I will not. But I do want to call out and credit several other people and factors that do contribute to our success, including commercial property owners who have made significant investments in their assets over the last couple of years, including Federal Realty at 656 Quince Orchard Road and Guardian Realty at 501 North Frederick. The local brokerage community, which is working very hard and hand in hand with the city to bring new tenants. Our Toolbox and Opportunities programs, which have helped to support new investment in hundreds of thousands of square feet. And particularly to our planning and code divisions, which are regularly identified as being among the top reasons why people like to do business with the city. Thanks to all of you, of course, as well, for your continued support for our efforts. We'll do our best, and fingers crossed for the same report in 6 months.
And thanks to you and your team, Tom.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next, we have policy discussion, and Lynn is going to lead us in our discussion on the write-in candidate issue.
Before you this evening is an ordinance to amend section 6C 305 of the city code, and this does deal with write-in candidates. During the 2015 election, which is the first time the city had included the ability to have write-in candidates, the Board of Supervisors elections noted discrepancy with regard to when a certificate of candidacy needed to be filed by write-in candidate. So this ordinance amends that discrepancy, and it requires that a certificate of candidacy be filed at least 6 business days prior to the first scheduled early voting session. This will allow people voting at early voting to know who all the potential candidates for office are. As I said, the Board of Supervisors of Elections unanimously recommended this ordinance. It was introduced on May 2nd. Public hearing was held on June 6th, 2016. We received no public comments. and it's ready for policy adoption this evening.
Excellent. Any, well, who'd like to start the discussion?
Well, I think it was an appropriate, we have an appropriate revision here. You certainly want to have, even if someone doesn't go through the usual steps of announcing their candidacy, campaigning, raising funds, et cetera, there are, in the event that there is someone who wants to be a write-in candidate, you certainly want to have that known before the first voting day. And so to have this revision here makes a lot of sense. I don't have any issues with it.
I happen to agree. Anybody else?
Agreed.
I think it's not just before the first voting day, it's also by the time of a report, a financial report is
Correct.
due prior to the first day of early voting.
Correct.
There's a combination of both of those things, that somebody's declared as a candidate essentially, even as a write-in, prior to the first day of early voting, but also that they filed their financial reports prior to the first day of early voting. Seems like a no-brainer to me, so
I'll move the ordinance.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 3-0. Thank you. Next, we have staff guidance, and I'd like to invite Monica Marquina to the podium. Talk about our 2017 MML legislative action requests.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Every year, the Maryland Municipal League invites cities and towns to submit legislative action requests. This year's deadline is July 15th. MML staff reviews these requests and prepares background information for the League's Legislative Committee. The committee meets to discuss these requests as well as to consider MML priority issues unresolved during the previous session. The committee selects up to 4 issues to be recommended to the membership as MML legislative priorities. The issues are then presented to the full membership at the annual fall conference for their consideration and approval. This year, the fall conference is in Solomon's Island. Many of us from the city serve on that committee. It's a great, it's an important committee. I think one of the best committees that MML has. Councilmember Rand Spiegel was served on it, Lynn Ward. I've served on it in the past, as well as Michelle and many others. Staff would like to propose the following 2 LARs, and they look very familiar to you. The first one is full restoration of highway user revenue. The city worked closely with MML on a piece of legislation that would have substantially increased the funding. Unfortunately, that legislation did not move forward. So we're looking for something that would permanently restore highway user revenue for all cities and towns. Staff recommends that the city once again submit an LAR to continue to work with MML and the General Assembly to enact full restoration of highway user as expeditiously as possible with a permanent solution. It's my understanding that the governor made comments towards this, and we're hoping that this comes to fruition. The second would be amendments to the state stormwater legislation that would require the state and county and other entities to pay for property they own within a municipality who imposes a stormwater fee. This past session, legislation was introduced that would have provided parity to municipalities that have established a dedicated stormwater management fund, and ensuring that municipal-owned property is also subject to the same charges. So if we were to own property within the county, we would also pay our fair share. If a municipality has established a system of charges to fund the implementation of stormwater management programs, property owned by the state, a unit of state government, a county, a college, or a university, or a local school system that is located in the municipality would have been required to participate in the stormwater remediation program by paying the required fees. In 2015 legislation, language was enacted into state law that required the county to enter into a memorandum of understanding to agree on the amount the county would pay the municipality to cover the cost of providing these services. While the city is continuing discussions with the county, an agreement would not address properties owned by the state or the Board of Education, for example. Staff continues to believe that the only way to ensure that everyone pays their fair share is through statewide legislation requiring all entities to pay for costs associated with providing stormwater mitigation services. This is essential not just from an equity standpoint, but to ensure that the requirements of a stormwater permit are met both now and in the future.
Thank you, Monica. These 2 items make sense to me. I do want to just stress for the public that what we're talking about here is what we suggest to Maryland Municipal League to adopt on behalf of all the cities that they represent. Our own legislative agenda will be broader than just these items.
Yes, that's correct. So staff will be before you in October with our full legislative agenda, which, like you said, will be very
Excellent. Any other comments, questions?
Well, the first one, full restoration of highway user revenue, is a priority for every city in the state, all 157 cities, towns and villages. The governor was ready to sign it last year. It was held up in the House committee that failed to pass the amended Senate bill. I haven't been satisfied by the explanation for why that didn't happen. We did speak to Delegate Barve and chair of that committee when he was here, and expected him to act on it this year. There should be no excuse for not passing this, so it's important that this continue to be at the top of the list as it has been for about 6 years, I think, maybe 5. So I'm glad to see it. I think the amendment to the state stormwater legislation is actually pretty important, not just to Gaithersburg, but to a number of other cities as well. So,
Anyone else? What do we need here?
Just your consent that those are the two that we would like to submit at this time. Again, I'll be back in October for a full legislative agenda. I did have one small item as an aside. I would like to take this opportunity to let you know that we received a request from the Chesapeake Climate Action Network to issue a resolution in support of a statewide ban on fracking. As you know, a couple of years back, we had a very full discussion. Not everyone in the council was here then. A few years ago, we decided to go ahead and not take a position because it didn't have a direct impact on the city of Gaithersburg. This group is looking for a coalition of municipalities to support a statewide ban on fracking. That being said, I wanted to confirm that remains your position, that we kind of just take a wait-and-see position on this. I can add it to my items to watch list for 2017 to see where this progresses. The sunset is 2017, which is why they're moving forward. They want a permanent ban on fracking. The past legislation only did it for 3 years. So.
okay, yeah, I was going to ask, because I thought the legislature had
So it was
passed
just
that.
temporary. So I just wanted to confirm that our position is a no position, and certainly something that we'd watch. I'm
personally fine with staying where we are.
Okay.
We do have new council members. I don't know if they want to weigh in, but I'm happy with the position we took. We studied the issue, and I think we were thoughtful about it.
Okay.
I think it's within the right of each council member to individually advocate their view at the state level. I know there's a lot of activity now at the state level. I know Senator Zirkin has been taking up this cause. But I think as a city officially, our current position and just kind of a watch and see approach for the next legislative session makes sense.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you so
Monica. Next, we have Chris Berger to talk about what are we looking at? A text amendment for that would impact the HDC. Welcome, Chris.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Staff is before you tonight to seek sponsorship of text amendments to Section 24, Article 12 of the City Code titled Preservation of Historic Resources. The Historic District Commission reviewed the changes at 3 meetings earlier this year and endorsed the text amendments at their May 25th meeting. I prepared a brief presentation on the 3 proposed amendments to the existing Historic Preservation Ordinance and the 1 proposed addition. First up, in Section 24-224, the definition for designated historic resource was accidentally repeated. We would like to clean that up and remove the double definition. In Section 24-226, we currently have a process to historically designate a property. Now we would also like to add a process to remove designation should that need arise. In Section 24-231, we currently only have a procedure, it's not codified, to demolish a building more than 50 years old that is not locally designated. An applicant submits a demolition permit, and the Historic District Commission reviews that permit in terms of whether or not the building is historically or architecturally significant. Again, this is only a procedure, so we would like to add this process to the code.
Okay.
And finally, we'd like to add Section 24-233(1) on undue economic hardship. This would come into play if a historic property owner seeks to tear down a designated historic resources by claiming it would cost too much to rehabilitate. Based on recent federal court decision. Staff believes the undue economic hardship provision is necessary to avoid potential lawsuits. So if you choose to sponsor the proposed amendments and the one addition, a joint public hearing with the Planning Commission would be held on August 1st.
And Chris, as I'm reading the proposed, that last part, the economic hardship, what it would essentially do is codify the documentation that would be required to be presented and considered by the HDC in giving us this recommendation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay. Any further questions?
Yeah, so for the demolition of a structure that's more than 50 years old, does that apply to a structure anywhere in the city or just in the historic areas?
No, it's anywhere in the city.
Okay.
So I did want to add a comment that I did review. I did meet and review the ordinance with the staff earlier today, and we do want to work on just kind of tightening and clarifying some of the language, but certainly support the concepts that have been approved by the HDC.
Okay.
I'm glad to hear that. I was frankly going to say the same thing. I support the general concepts, but I do think there's a little bit of wordsmithing and maybe a few little grammatical things that need to be fixed, which can happen during the process. I did have one question under the undue economic hardship section 233.1B. Says that the HDC must not approve demolition of a historic resource or property within a historic district unless the property owner provides verifiable evidence of undue economic hardship. Is there any other circumstance under which the HDC can approve demolition of a historic property aside from undue economic hardship?
I think that's one of the areas that we want to see some
Okay.
additional language. There
Okay.
is some provisions in the state law that deals with when it's in the best interest of majority of the citizens, and also dealing with kind of the economic development side.
Okay, so
So those would be
sort of goes
factors
to some of
that-
the wordsmithing,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because I think it risks sounding like, that's the only reason that the HDC could ever approve a demolition, which I didn't think was accurate. So it sounds like you're already on top of that. So other than those issues and a couple of the other small wordsmithing and spaces and commas here and there, which we can work on,
Right.
I'm okay with the concept.
I mean, I'm glad to see that we're actually providing a path for a resource or building to be undesignated, because it was never really clear how that could happen.
Right.
It seemed like once you had the designation, that was pretty much it. You were stuck, and so the only other option would be undue economic hardship, which we didn't really have a process for either. So I think I'm glad to see that we have this here. Not that I want people to rush to us and say we want to be undesignated at this point, but I think it's important that we codify it.
So we need a motion to introduce.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 3-0. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Next, from the city attorney.
Nothing further this evening.
From any other staff, I see Dennis coming up.
Had two quick items. One is to report back to you on some task orders that we approved under the architectural and engineering contract. The first one was for lighting improvements at Dorsey Estates that was awarded to K2M Design for the sum of roughly $16,000. We also awarded to K2M Design rehabilitation of existing bays at the Public Works facility. These are some existing salt bays that we're going to convert to equipment bays. That was for just over $6,000. And then the final two, the Arts Barn energy upgrade for the boiler and cooler tower and some control mechanisms. That was also awarded to K2M Design. That was $43,000, just a little bit over that. And then we're trying to update all the building plans for the city facilities. We've come to know that we've done a number of renovations where we don't actually know exactly where all the walls are. So we're actually going to go through all the buildings and have those updated, which should help us in the long run when we do projects in the future. That too was awarded to K2M Design for $46,500. And then putting on a different hat, which is the finance hat, as acting finance director, I wanted to let you know that we did receive the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for our comprehensive annual financial report, or known as the CAFR. So this will be 30 odd years. The first year I believe we received it was in
1978, and so we've continued to receive that award since then.
It's the year I was born.
So that's all I have.
Congratulations to all staff involved. It's certainly something we're real proud of, and a good reflection on our city's commitment to fiscal responsibility.
And the finance department does a great job in putting that document together.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dennis. Anything from any other staff? Not seeing anybody. Okay. As I mentioned, we have our work session next week on the Housing Initiatives Fund, which really should be an interesting discussion. And we have the fireworks on Friday. Please join us. Until then, let's do great things, Gaithersburg. We are adjourned.
I don't understand. If I'm not made for you, then why does my heart tell me that I am? Is there any way that I could stay in your life? 'Cause I miss you, body and soul so strong.